Hi, this is Chris Barnhouse of the NAIFA-Indiana Communications Committee and your host for the August edition of NAIFA-Indiana This Month. I'm sure many of you have been struggling with work-life balance as you juggle your businesses with school-age children who are now competing for space as your home becomes both your office and their classroom. We're joined today by someone who has been experiencing just those issues. Matt Carruthers is an MDRT level financial advisor from Columbus, Indiana. He has multiple designations, including CFP, CLU, CHFC, RICP, and CHSNC. He is also a long-time NAIFA member. Matt, welcome to NAIFA Indiana This Month. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I appreciate it.
So, Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
I am married, been married now 20 years this fall, and have three lovely daughters. So there's not much testosterone in my world, but makes for a fun journey. So, and I'm just turned 51.
And what ages are your daughters?
My oldest daughter is a junior in high school. My middle daughter is going to 8th grade, and my youngest one soon will turn 9.
So you've had a few challenges as far as schooling during the pandemic, haven't you?
There's been some interesting moments, that's for sure.
Now, the government listed your business as an essential one. What adjustments did you make, even though you were allowed to stay open? What adjustments did you make as far as work from home and work from office?
Well, obviously, when all this came about, we immediately, sent our entire team home to work from home. That was just a given that we wanted to do that. We all worked from home for quite a while. In fact, we really didn't come back to our physical office until right after July 4th. And, even to this day, our doors are locked. Rarely does a client come in for a meeting. If they do, we are clearly able to socially distance within our offices. But we've seen everybody work from home.
Your girls obviously came home from school at about that time as well. How did that work with Dad working from home and classroom now being the kitchen?
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly how the setup was, Chris. The way our house is configured, it's an old farmhouse. So I went upstairs where I could actually close the door and set up shop. The challenge that we had is we live out in the country, so our internet service is not strong at all. So when you had me on my devices trying to conduct business, and you had all three of our kids on their devices, it was a challenge for that period where they were learning from home. It was a little frustrating. It really was. But I was able to physically isolate myself from them so that they could be down. Now my wife is a former school teacher, so I maybe had a little bit of a leg up there. So she was really handling that part of it. But I really tried to take a lot of breaks throughout the day and would go down and really would just see how everyone's doing. Would jump in and try and help out where I could. And I think that's one of the lessons I learned is, even though we can work from home, we really need to stop and look through the lens of our spouse and our kids and what they're going through and really make ourselves more available.
Now, how did you think the field of shutdown affected their education?
Well, I mean, it was a challenge. Like I said, the internet service isn't the greatest, so we were getting knocked off quite a bit. I sensed maybe the workload of assignments maybe wasn't as heavy as what it might typically be. And then my youngest one, has some unique learning challenges, and so that made it a little harder, to keep her on pace as well. So, I'd say much like running our business from home is possible. It's probably not the most ideal for most of us. And I'd say learning from home, I'd put in that same category as well. Once again, that's just my opinion through the lens I look through. So
now, your youngest also has some health issues, correct? Which makes it a real concern with the COVID-19, doesn't it?
Yes. Obviously, COVID-19 is so new, so there's no conclusive evidence in terms of is she high risk or not. But we were told early on to assume that she was. So the fact that we were quarantined and staying at home, she wasn't around anybody. But it definitely made our re-entry into the public spaces a lot slower than I think most did. And obviously, our emphasis on social distancing and wearing a mask is probably a little more following the rules, maybe then some because of her. But yeah, the biggest challenge obviously with her and her is, conducting her therapist physical therapy, occupational therapy, all those therapy sessions over Zoom, over a device. Hats off to the people on the other end for pulling that off. And I think that for the most part, they did a really good job, but that's really an adjustment. And I think probably the biggest thing that I didn't even think of early on, but it became obvious, is for a lot of children who've had medical challenges, they've been through a lot of medical procedures and a lot of surgeries. So just the sheer physical appearance of putting a mask on really bothered her a lot, because I think it was reminding her a lot of going into having some surgeries. And so when we first started wearing our mask, I mean, she was noticeably bothered by that. It didn't take us long as parents to really realize what was causing that. So that was a major hurdle that took a lot of time to get over for her.
Now, the girls are going back to school at this time, correct? Are the schools open down in
Correct.
Columbus? They're not distance learning?
They are, yes.
How is that working for you? When did they start, and how is that working?
Yeah, so I think so they went back the first part of August, and so far so good. The schools that they attend, I think, have done a really good job in terms of having clear guidelines in terms of mask wearing and distancing and everything like that. So as parents, we've been pleased, but we know obviously at a moment's notice that could change. So we got to be prepared to be fluid if we need to resume to what we were doing earlier in the year.
Now, you've said you've reopened your office. The girls are back in school. Are you finding that you're spending the same amount of time in the office as you used to, or are you tending to go home earlier?
I'm going home a little bit earlier. I find I'm getting a lot more done through the use of, technology than what I used to. I mean, we kept the same appointment pace that we did. In fact, we probably even saw a lot more client meetings during the early parts of COVID. And what we typically did is we reached out to all of our clients just to check in on them. I do make an effort to get home earlier with the kids. I think, just being more aware that their world's still a little upside down is important. But I'm clearly being a lot more available during the day than what I think I was before, because I think clients are more understanding that we're all in these unique times, and we all have to be a little more gracious and forgiving if people have to make changes at the last second. So able to break away and do more things than probably what I did in the past, and probably could have back then, right? I think it's one of the things COVID has taught us, is that, we always talk about how busy life is, and I guess be careful what you wish for, because it slowed down really quick for us. But the blessings is clearly the time you can spend with your family. And I think as parents, really helping our children process how you deal in such uncertain times. And, we're really strong we're a family that's really strong in our faith. So we lean on that very hard in terms of focusing in on really others and not just us and our inconveniences we were dealing with.
Well, thank you, Matt. What kind of advice would you give to other families of NAIFA members who are going through a similar situation where they have their business and their kids are going to school right now?
I think we had to be a lot more flexible. I mean, to think that you're just going to run the same hours of the day as you did before might be a little unrealistic. I think we should all be more in tune with our spouses and with our children. And I heard a long time ago, it's not quality time, it's quantity of time. Quantity of time is really where it needs to be. So spending more time just in conversations, with our children, with our spouse, seeing how they're doing. It's almost as if we can find ourselves getting involved with helping our clients plan and not really paying as much attention as we should to the fact that these are some stressful times and we need to be there for our family.
So do you think this experience has helped you relate better to your clients as well?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, early on, I was given some great advice just to reach out to see how people are doing, right? And so much of our conversation anymore with clients is just, hey, how you doing? And how's your spouse doing? Or how's your significant other doing? Or how's the kids doing? And really just being there for our clients, right? It doesn't all have to be business. So it's nice to be able to be more empathetic and talk to them about those things. And, a lot of the things we talk about from a financial planning perspective, they are important, but during the times that we're in right now, unless there's a huge insurance deficiency that really needs to get addressed, I think some of these things can wait. I mean, for us to think that we're at the top of the list is pretty naive. So I think we just have to keep that in mind. Planning can still get done, But I just think we need to be maybe a little more slower in our processes, ask things that aren't business related to find out really where they are, because that could explain a lot in terms of whether they have the right mindset to even do any additional plan at this time.
Hey, Matt, thanks a lot. Any last comments? Any last comments for our membership?
Well, I think anytime you're going through challenges like we have this year, I just found that the best thing is, if you're a person of faith, lean on that. If you're not, then definitely look at others first. One of the things we did early on when this hit is that we reached out to some local businesses, some restaurants specifically, and actually a bookstore as well, and just asked them, what could we do to help? And, our team, I have some really great people on our team, and they came up with some creative ideas where we did, some fundraising, some matching funds for people who, helped drive business towards those local companies. So I just find that when you're trying to help others, you tend not to get too caught up on your own situation. And I think we're all here to uplift and serve others. And when you're in that mindset of helping others, it's hard to have negative or woe is me thoughts in your head. So I think no matter what life brings your way, think of others first, and it makes life a lot more enjoyable.
Thanks a lot, Matt. That has been great. I'm sure all of our members got a lot of great information out of that, something they can use in the future. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure, Chris.
Thank you, Matt. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a great presentation Matt did for NAIFA Indianapolis in 2016 on how he built a values-based practice. It's still available on YouTube, and we're going to include a link to it in this mailing. I'd encourage any or anyone involved in training new advisors to take a look at it. I've shared it with many young advisors over the years, and they've all benefited greatly from watching it. And don't forget our upcoming NAIFA-Indiana CEs. On September 10th, we'll broadcast a 1-hour CE by Marcus Henderson. On September 17th, we're offering 4 hours of insurance CE, both live and online. But seating is limited for the in-person session, so make your reservations early. On October 8th, we'll be broadcasting 2 hours of insurance CE by David Hallstrom. All of these CEs are joint efforts between NAIFA Indiana and the Society of Financial Service Professionals. It's our effort to make sure you get all the CE you need to stay up to date on your knowledge and your licensing. Go to www.naifa-indiana.org to see and register for all our upcoming events. Join us next month when NAIFA Indiana remembers 9/11. And remember, together we can take on